place it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. They're, well, we're north of Saigon, south of Cameron.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cameron is over here compared to Saigon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were sort of in between.
By the way, that's Ho Chi Minh City.
Wasn't then, but
we were winning when I was there too.
But you know, you said you got there January of '68.
Yeah.
And that was Tet.
Tet was February.
Yeah. Well, the end of January there, beginning of February. So you were in country
when Tet. Yeah.
Again, how did that affect your base? Was there?
Not at all. It was up north.
Okay, so what was going on with Tet was just.
I did get some flying time in then. We did some resupply, you know, touch and goes on the 130s with at Quezon. And,
Oh, so you flew into Quezon?
Yeah, in and out real quick. Touched down, kicked the shit out, and went back up again.
Yeah, nobody wanted to stay on the ground long there.
Nobody stayed.
Yeah,
except the Marines.
Right. Okay. So you were medical supplies or any supplies?
No, it was, you know, like ammunition, food, beer, you know, whatever it took to keep these guys happy, because we weren't going to take their place.
Yeah. No. So you were actually flying fixed-wing aircraft now, helping with resupply missions.
Mission of Mercy. Mission of Mercy,
right. Well, Marines and beer, I would say that was definitely Mercy missions, yes.
Jack Daniels has been better than
that. Yeah. So how long did you keep? You just kept that up for a couple of months then, with the resupply?
Yeah, no, a couple of months was the shot room.
Okay.
Immunizations. And but I got pretty tight with the guys in the dispensary. And I like working there more than the flight surgeon's office. So then I roamed over into the laboratory and was doing a lot of lab work. And you know, the Vietnamese, they feel that if they they don't die with everything, they're not going to go to heaven. And so it was a really difficult, like pulling teeth to get a little blood out of them.
Oh, is that right?
You know, they go, Mat CC, TT. So we had to draw blood to the Vietnamese, especially the women that were doing the hooches and everything, to make sure they didn't have anything they can give to us. But we also did a lot of blood work on the GIs, especially when they had suspected VD or anything. And one guy came in the lab and his penis was bright red and scaly, and it had all kinds of holes in it. And we looked at it, and he said, wait a minute, guys, it's not what you think. You're not going to believe it. And you know, there are 4 of us in the lab, and we told him, look, between the 4 of us, we got 36 years of medical laboratory experience. We've heard all the stories. He says, you ain't heard this one. So, okay, let us know. He says, I was in town with my girlfriend at her hooch, and I was getting undressed, and she said, oh, that stinks. So she took her cheap Vietnamese perfume and poured it on my dick. And that's what happened. And there's 4 guys on the ground hugging their guts, laughing their heads off. You're right, we never heard that one before. True story.
What was that perfume made of?
I don't know, some kind of Vietnamese alcohol, I guess. I don't know. Bombly bomb. But That was the funniest thing I ever saw, or heard, or anything.
I mean, what did you do for this poor guy? Were you able to give him any salve or cream or lotion or something? That...
Well, anything oil-based is just going to keep the heat in, and
Right.
not going to help him anything.
Right.
So we gave him penicillin, and we gave him a cream that's not
Oil-based.
well, no Vaseline or anything in
Mhm.
it. You know, so it healed finally, but it was disgusting.
That's funny.
Extremely funny.
Any other things like that you know? I mean, that's an interesting story. Any other kind of stories like that you recall from?
Well, there was one guy that he came in, and his knee was swollen like this,
Mhm.
and so I drained some of the fluid and I put it on a slide and checked it out. It had already been checked by like 5 or 6 guys, including a couple of doctors.
Mhm.
But I found it, and I wasn't a lab man. It was gonorrhea, GNID.
Mm. That had settled.
It went down to his knee.
Hmm.
I said, "Where have you been, Sarge?"
Mhm.
And he said, "No, I just got back from R&R with my wife in Hawaii." Which means that she'd been around on him.
Yeah.
Well, so we cured him, and when he went home, he knocked her out, and then divorced her.
Speaking of R&R, did you get any chance to take an R&R while you were there?
It was really expensive.
What was it? Well, usually they provided the plane ride to someplace, you know, Bangkok.
Yeah, but they didn't spend them. They didn't provide extra money.
No,
All the money I had went back home.
back home to the wife. Now, did she stay in Enid, Oklahoma, or she came back
Oh,
here?
she went back to Detroit.
She came back to Detroit.
Yeah, she stayed with her parents
Mhm.
with the baby. So
So you didn't tell us about a baby. Oh, that's right. You did say she
Said
was,
she was
2
pregnant,
weeks after
yeah.
you found out she was pregnant.
yeah, so
That's
he
right.
was 6 months old when I finally met him, or 7 months old.
Now, so you were there for a year. So what did it feel like to be a short timer when they finally told you, you know, you're going home? Must have felt pretty good.
Oh, felt great. I even, well, I was, first of all, before we get to that,
Mm-hmm.
there was a USO show.
Okay.
James Brown came to town,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't mean to rhyme, it just came out. And I was the medic on call, so I drove the ambulance with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the day that Pedro fell out of the sky,
Pedro.
the rescue helicopter.
Oh.
And it was on base. A B-57 came in with smoke in the cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chopper went up. B-57 landed safely. Chopper had electrical fire, went straight down.
Mm-hmm.
So all 5 crew members passed away.
Mm-hmm. From your unit.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the medic was my unit,
Yeah.
and I knew pretty much all the guys, and yeah, so yeah, you could say from my unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was the first one out to the chopper. They foamed the runway so I could get to them. I got to my buddy, and the guy that happened to have been flying that day was my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and he was Staff Sergeant Angel Luna. He went by Mike.
Mm-hmm.
His real name was Jesus Angel Luna, and he was moving like a chicken.